Welcome to this week's edition of Erik's Correspondence Corner. It's been a pretty busy week in Washington. We had a hearing in the Ways and Means Committee on the debt limit. We also had a hearing on the President's budget with Secretary Liu, Treasury Secretary, and we had Secretary Sebelius talking about the new health care law as well. Brought out a lot of conversation about some very important issues. Before we get into our questions, though, I also want to remind folks that on Friday, April 19th, I've got my next job fair coming up. It's going to be on Friday the 19th of April at Normandale Community College in Bloomington from 1 to 4 p.m. We're also going to have a special hour earlier, open at noon, for those of you who are veterans or service members to have an extra hour benefit of meeting with 63 different potential employers, trying to connect employers with those that are still looking for work. Some great job opportunities will come out of that, hopefully. We are going to dive into our questions, though, by heading over to my Facebook page, where I took a question from Lee. Lee actually posted a comment and a question on Facebook after I had an important meeting this week, meeting with some the European Union Parliament members who were in town as a part of discussion on a new transatlantic trade agreement. So this is what Lee asked. He basically says, knowing I had a chance to meet and chair this committee meeting this week, he asked he wanted to learn a little bit more about the meeting itself and maybe what some of the issues were that were raised. He says, what are the concerns, what are the likes, and what are the dislikes? The bottom line here are the likes. The transatlantic partnership that we have right now between the United States and Europe is 50% of world global GDP. 30% of our world trade is between our two economies. Great success, great friendships, but that means great opportunities for the future as well. We've got an opportunity now to enhance that agreement, to dive into intellectual property protection, looking at how we can further invest, knowing that financial services and regulations can be streamlined, also knowing that the internet has provided new opportunities for providing different products and services. So good opportunity to make sure that we're going to enhance these relationships. And the bottom line is more jobs for Minnesota. We've actually already in Minnesota account for last year's exports, $4 billion to the EU alone. Out of Minnesota, that's 20% of our state total exports. Huge opportunity there. So I'm looking forward to leading that effort as a part of our transatlantic partnership down the road. We also had this week the President submitting his budget officially. Finally, it was presented and we had a hearing on it actually this week in Ways and Means Committee. Had some questions from folks that have been following that process as well. Let's go to Angela in Eden Prairie. She writes in, Dear Representative Paulsen, I hope you're doing all possible to develop a budget to eliminate tax loopholes and help our country move forward. It makes me sad the way our Congress has been acting. It's completely irresponsible. I hope we have a fair budget soon. What would you like to see in a budget? Angela. First of all, what I'd like to see in a budget, Angela, long-term solutions, not short-term fixes. I'm angry at Congress, too, when they pass on these short-term fixes. And we have a real opportunity. The House has passed a budget that actually balances, just like it did in the 1990s with a Democratic president and a Republican Congress. We can do that again. We've got to do it again. The President has a budget he submitted, some good ideas, open for discussion. He proposed some different ideas on Medicare, for instance, Social Security. There are some areas where I think he falls short. Number one, it does add almost $9 trillion to the national debt. Two, it raises revenue about $1.1 trillion, and it only deals with deficit reduction after he leaves office, not till 2020. I think that's too long to wait. I think we should be addressing those issues right now to avoid a debt crisis and manage our budget, get our fiscal house in order. So I'm going to be looking to make sure we've got comprehensive tax reform in there to lower rates, broaden the base, close those loopholes like you mentioned, Angela, so it's a fair and simpler and more competitive system for large companies and small companies alike. That'll help our economy, that'll grow our budget, and then in the end, that'll help fix our fiscal situation as well. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to write in with your thoughts, your questions, your ideas. I hope you can come out to the job fair on Friday, April 19th at Normandale College. In the meantime, and you can go to my website, by the way, for details at Paulsen.house.gov. Visit me on Facebook, Twitter. Have a great weekend.